So let's talk about one of the most controversial theories in Game of Thrones. Did Tyrion Lannister actually betray Daenerys? Because if you go back and watch seasons 7 and 8, there are some seriously suspicious moments that make you wonder what the hell was going on in his head. Here's the thing. For 6 seasons, Tyrion was the smartest guy in the room. This is the man who saved King's Landing during the Battle of Blackwater. The guy who could talk his way out of literally anything. But then he becomes Hand of the Queen to Daenerys and suddenly he can't make a single good decision. Every single piece of advice he gives leads to disaster. Let's break down his failures. First, when Daenerys is ruling Meereen and Tyrion is left in charge, he tries to make a deal with the slave masters. He thinks he can negotiate with them and get them to stop supporting the Sons of the Harpy. What happens? The masters completely betray him and send an entire fleet to attack Meereen. Daenerys has to come back and save the day with her dragons because Tyrion's diplomacy failed spectacularly. Then comes his battle plan for conquering Westeros. Daenerys wants to fly straight to King's Landing and take the city with her dragons. It's the obvious move. She has 3 dragons, the Dothraki, and the Unsullied. Cersei has nothing that can stop her at this point. But Tyrion talks her out of it. He convinces her to split her forces. He sends the Unsullied to take Casterly Rock while the Dornish army lays siege to King's Landing. What actually happens? Cersei outsmarts him completely. She abandons Casterly Rock because it's worthless without gold. She sends her army to Highgarden instead and wipes out the Tyrells, stealing all their gold and food. Meanwhile, Euron Greyjoy destroys the ships carrying the Dornish forces. In one move, Daenerys loses Dorne, Highgarden, and the entire Tyrell army. These were supposed to be her biggest allies in Westeros. Lady Olenna Tyrell actually calls this out before she dies. She tells Daenerys straight up that Tyrion is clever, but she's outlived all the clever men by ignoring them. She tells Daenerys to be a dragon, not a sheep. And honestly, every time Daenerys ignores Tyrion's advice and does her own thing, she wins. When she finally attacks the Lannister army at the Loot Train battle, she destroys them. That's when she stops listening to Tyrion. But here's where things get really interesting. In the Season 7 finale, there's a meeting at the Dragonpit where everyone comes together to deal with the White Walker threat. Jon Snow refuses to lie to Cersei about staying neutral, which pisses Cersei off and she leaves. The whole truce falls apart. So Tyrion goes to talk to Cersei privately. Now, we don't see most of this conversation. The show deliberately cuts away. When we come back, Cersei has suddenly changed her mind and agrees to send her armies north. But here's the twist. Later in that same episode, Cersei tells Jaime she was lying the whole time. She never planned to send her armies north. She's going to let everyone fight the White Walkers and kill each other off, then she'll deal with whoever's left standing. So what happened in that room? What did Tyrion say to Cersei? Because something convinced her to come back and lie to everyone. The most popular theory is that Tyrion made a deal with her. He figured out she was pregnant, and people think he promised her that Cersei's child could be the heir to the Iron Throne after Daenerys, since Daenerys believed she couldn't have children. Think about it. Tyrion has been obsessed with succession and heirs throughout Season 7. He keeps bringing it up to Daenerys, asking her who will rule after her. She shuts him down every time because she's not ready to have that conversation. But Tyrion knows this is a problem. So maybe he saw an opportunity to make peace with his family and secure the future at the same time. The evidence for this theory gets stronger when you look at Tyrion's behavior after that meeting. At the end of the episode, Jon Snow goes to Daenerys's cabin on the ship. They hook up for the first time. And we see Tyrion standing outside in the hallway, looking absolutely miserable. He's not just sad or jealous. He looks guilty, like he knows he's done something that's about to blow up in his face. Because if Tyrion promised Cersei that her child would inherit the throne, and now Jon and Daenerys are having sex, that's a problem. If Daenerys can actually have children, then Tyrion just made a promise to Cersei that he can't keep. His sister is not going to be happy about that. And we know how Cersei deals with people who betray her. There's also this ongoing theme in the show about Tyrion's divided loyalties. In Season 8, Sansa even says it to his face. When they're hiding in the crypts during the Battle of Winterfell, Tyrion makes a joke about them staying married. Sansa tells him it would never work because of the Dragon Queen. She says his divided loyalties would be a problem. This is the show directly telling us that Tyrion has a loyalty problem. Throughout Season 7, we see Tyrion struggling with watching his family get destroyed. During the loot train battle, when Drogon is burning the Lannister soldiers alive, Tyrion looks devastated. He's not celebrating his queen's victory. He's watching his family's army get massacred and he looks like he's about to throw up. When Jaime charges at Drogon with a spear, Tyrion whispers to himself, "Flee, you idiot." He doesn't want Jaime to die. The show even plays the Lannister song, The Rains of Castamere, during this scene. That song is all about Lannister pride and power. It's the song they played during the Red Wedding. The fact that it plays while Tyrion watches his brother nearly die is not a coincidence. It's reminding us that no matter how much Tyrion claims to hate his family, he still loves Jaime. And that love might make him do something stupid. Now let's talk about the prophecy angle, because this is where things get even more complicated. In the books, Daenerys receives a prophecy at the House of the Undying in Qarth. She's told that she will be betrayed 3 times. Once for blood, once for gold, and once for love. Most people agree the betrayal for blood was Mirri Maz Duur, the witch who killed Khal Drogo and Daenerys' unborn son. The betrayal for gold could be Jorah Mormont, who spied on Daenerys for Varys in exchange for a pardon so he could return home. But the betrayal for love has always been up for debate. Many fans thought Tyrion would be the 3rd betrayal. That he would betray Daenerys out of love for his brother Jaime. The theory went that Jaime would be captured and Tyrion would help him escape, betraying his queen to save his brother. This never happens in the show, but the hints were there. In Season 8, Tyrion does help Jaime escape from Daenerys' forces. Right before the Battle of King's Landing, Jaime is captured trying to get into the city. Tyrion frees him and tells him to take Cersei and escape through the tunnels beneath the Red Keep. This is a direct betrayal. Tyrion is actively working against his queen to save his siblings. Daenerys arrests him for it later. But here's where it gets really complicated. There's another theory that's even more insane. Some fans think Tyrion might actually be a Targaryen. That he's not Tywin Lannister's son at all, but the bastard son of the Mad King Aerys Targaryen. This theory has some evidence behind it. In the books, it's mentioned that Aerys Targaryen was obsessed with Tywin's wife Joanna. At Tywin and Joanna's wedding, a drunk Aerys joked about wanting the Lord's right to the first night, which was basically a king sleeping with a bride before her husband. Later, when Joanna returned to King's Landing with her twin children, Aerys made inappropriate comments about her body. The books heavily imply that Aerys may have taken advantage of Joanna at some point. Tyrion is born about a year after one of Joanna's last visits to King's Landing. She dies giving birth to him, just like the mothers of both Jon Snow and Daenerys died giving birth to them. That's happened to every known Targaryen birth in the story. There are physical descriptions in the books that support this too. Tyrion is described as having very pale blonde hair, almost white, which is more like Targaryen silver than Lannister gold. He also has mismatched eyes, one green and one black. There was a famous Targaryen bastard who also had 2 different colored eyes. Tywin Lannister also drops some major hints. When Tyrion asks to inherit Casterly Rock, Tywin says men's laws give Tyrion the right to bear his name because he cannot prove Tyrion is not his son. That's a weird thing to say. And Tywin's last words before Tyrion kills him are, "You are no son of mine." Most people think he's just being cruel, but what if he literally means it? If Tyrion is actually a Targaryen, it would explain so much. It would explain why Tywin hated him so much his entire life. Every time Tywin looked at Tyrion, he would see the evidence of Aerys taking advantage of his wife. Tyrion would be a constant reminder of the greatest humiliation of Tywin's life. It would also explain Tyrion's connection to dragons. In Season 6, Tyrion goes down into the dungeons where 2 of Daenerys' dragons are chained up. He talks to them and actually touches them, and they don't burn him alive. Dragons are supposed to be extremely dangerous and unpredictable, but they let Tyrion approach them. Some fans think this is because dragons can sense Targaryen blood. There's also a prophecy about 3 heads of the dragon, meaning 3 Targaryens will ride the 3 dragons. Jon Snow is one, Daenerys is another. Could Tyrion be the 3rd? In the books, Tyrion tells Jon Snow that he used to dream about dragons as a child, which is also something Daenerys talks about. If this theory is true, then Tyrion's potential betrayal becomes even more tragic. He would be betraying his queen Daenerys to save his supposed family the Lannisters, when in reality, Daenerys is his actual family and the Lannisters are the ones who have lied to him his whole life. He would be betraying his sister to save the woman who isn't even his sister. This creates a dark parallel to another moment in Westerosi history. During Robert's Rebellion, when the rebels were closing in on King's Landing, Aerys Targaryen ordered the gates open for his former Hand of the King, Tywin Lannister. Aerys thought Tywin was coming to save him. Instead, Tywin sacked the city and let Robert take the throne. A Targaryen king trusted a Lannister hand, and that Lannister betrayed him. Now fast forward to Daenerys. She's a Targaryen queen who has put her trust in a hand who she thinks is a Lannister. If Tyrion betrays her, history repeats itself. A Targaryen trusts a Lannister hand, and gets betrayed. But did Tyrion actually betray Daenerys? Let's look at what he definitely did. He gave her terrible advice that cost her allies and armies. He made some kind of deal with Cersei that we never got to see. He told Varys about Jon Snow's true parentage, which led to Varys plotting against Daenerys and eventually getting executed. He freed Jaime and told him how to escape with Cersei. These are all betrayals to some degree. But were they intentional? That's the real question. Tyrion might have just been incompetent. His bad advice might not have been sabotage, just genuine mistakes. He's always loved Jaime, so helping his brother escape makes sense for his character. And telling Varys about Jon could have been Tyrion looking for guidance from someone he trusted, not deliberately undermining his queen. The problem is the show never makes this clear. We never find out what Tyrion said to Cersei. We never see him explicitly plot against Daenerys. So we're left wondering if he was a traitor or just a fool. What we do know is that Tyrion's arc in the final seasons is about him choosing between his birth family and his chosen family. He's torn between the Lannisters who raised him but treated him like garbage, and Daenerys who gave him respect and purpose. In the end, he tries to have it both ways. He tries to serve Daenerys while protecting his siblings. And that divided loyalty leads to disaster. By the time we get to the finale, Tyrion has lost almost everything. Daenerys burns King's Landing and kills hundreds of thousands of innocent people, partly because she stopped trusting Tyrion and partly because his advice kept failing. Cersei and Jaime die in the collapsing Red Keep, even though Tyrion tried to save them. Varys is executed for treason that Tyrion enabled. In the end, Tyrion convinces Jon Snow to kill Daenerys. Some people see this as Tyrion's ultimate betrayal, manipulating Jon into murdering the woman they both loved. Others see it as Tyrion finally doing the right thing after enabling Daenerys' descent into madness. The show treats it as a heroic sacrifice, but you could easily argue it's the worst betrayal of all. So what's the answer? Did Tyrion betray Daenerys? Honestly, yes. Maybe not in the dramatic, mustache-twirling villain way that some theories suggested, but he definitely betrayed her. He put his family before his queen multiple times. He made decisions that protected the Lannisters at the expense of Daenerys' goals. His divided loyalties made him a terrible hand, and his inability to fully commit to Daenerys' cause contributed to everything falling apart. Whether he's secretly a Targaryen or not, whether he made some dark deal with Cersei or not, the fact is that Tyrion failed Daenerys when she needed him most. His love for his brother, his desire to save his family, and his inability to fully embrace Daenerys' more ruthless side all combined to make him unreliable at best and traitorous at worst. The tragedy of Tyrion Lannister is that he wanted to be a good man serving a good queen, but he couldn't escape the bonds of family. Even after everything the Lannisters put him through, even after Cersei tried to have him killed multiple times, even after Tywin told him he was no son of his, Tyrion still couldn't let them go. And that love, that loyalty to people who didn't deserve it, destroyed everything he tried to build with Daenerys. In the Game of Thrones, sometimes love is the most dangerous weapon of all. And Tyrion's love for his brother might have been the betrayal that doomed them all.